Hello, here we are in month 4 of Winter Wonderland. You can find access to the information for this block of the month on www.urbanalements.com. Just look under Winter Wonderland block of the month. Some of you may have noticed that my background fabric has some directionality to it on this one edge. There is a little bit more snowflakes than the rest of it. So I am making sure that when I cut my fabric, I was paying attention to that with the cutting chart, and also that I keep that on the edge on each of my blocks. This is one of the largest blocks so far. And I'm really happy to be working on this block, as it is the joy block. With everything that's going on in the world today, this is a very happy place to be. I've been in my studio today watching the great comic relief bake-off, which has added some levity to the studio, and getting my block ready for month 4. I already have some of the larger pieces already put in place. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was some of these larger pieces. They're too large to fit in the package, so some of them have to be folded to get inside the package. And they're not creased, but they are a gentle fold on them. And what is nice to do with some of those pieces is just give them a little press where the fold was, so that when you peel off the paper later, you don't have like a pucker in the fabric. So I had to do that with the two gables to the roof, and I had to do it with the large piece of the house. I already have most of these pieces in place, so it's just a simple matter of finishing up a couple of these to get them into place. And somewhere, oh, here it is, I have one more leaf to do to cover the roof gable, or the lower part of the house. So we'll have that into place because that overlapped. And one thing that I also wanted to talk about is kind of like a little tip. After we talked about ironing the main piece, I worked on this snowman on my pressing sheet, and I got the pieces laid out because some of them were obscured by the house, and I wanted to make sure I got them in the right place. Not all of the pieces overlapped completely, and one of the things I wanted to do was give myself a little help when placing this down onto the background. So instead of taking the paper completely off, I only took the paper off of the section that was connected to the other piece of the fabric, so that when I get this into place, I'm going to put him into position. All I have to do is go back and pull that paper off. And that gets my snowman and his arms right where he needs to be. Now these are not really ironed in place yet. I just have them positioned because I still have my paper pattern underneath. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and pull my paper out. But because we use Steam-A-Seam 2 and it has that tacky back on it, all of my pieces remain in place. And that allows me to go ahead and remove the pattern, and then I can go ahead and fuse each of these pieces in place. And I'm going to go ahead and post a picture of this online after we get this month set up. As you can see in the back here, I have some of the previous months already hanging and assembled, but we would also like to see what your background looks like and what progress you're making. And with so many of us home right now, there's no excuse for not getting caught up on your block of the month. After I fuse this down, and I hope you notice I'm using steam because this is steam seam 2. It does require steam. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over and fuse it from the back side also. Especially with some of these larger pieces that have multiple layers on it, it will require that you flip the entire block over and fuse again from the back side just to make sure that you're actually activating all of that steam seam 2. If it's not completely bonded when you fuse it, you're going to get gumminess on the needle. And that gumminess is just an indicator to you that it needs to be fused just a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and fuse this more after the video, but you don't need to see me do every little piece of this. It's a little bit boring, but I'm filled with joy knowing that I have another month finished on my block of the month, and that we're getting closer to the being able to put all the blocks together and get this quilted. And if this doesn't bring joy into your life, I'm just not sure what will. It's absolutely beautiful. Show us your blocks.